Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Saturn review. We've got something completely different today because we are reviewing the beta version of Fighting Force, a game that never officially got released for the Saturn. Now when you turn on this game there is no intro video, main menu or options. You are straight onto the character selection screen where you're met with Hawk, Mace, Hammer and Vulcan. So it's basically take your pick and get right into the action. Well, action is what I expected, but if you make the mistake of picking Vulcan, you are met with this massive glitches all over the screen. Now, if you're not aware, Vulcan was not in the actual final release for the N64 or the PlayStation. I'm assuming he was some kind of prototype because you cannot play the game using Vulcan. He can move around a little bit, but the glitches that fill the screen mean it is impossible to do anything with him. Likewise, if you select Hammer, you think it's going to be okay, you can see him, but if you try and move as Hammer, it is impossible. He's been programmed graphically to be able to stand there with his standing motion, but you cannot move this character, attack or kick or anything at all with him. So these two characters are completely unplayable, so the review will be based on using the other two characters. Now you're probably saying, where's the music gone? And that is one issue with the beta of this game, is that sometimes when you start the game you will have a track playing as the background music and then sometimes you won't, which is a little bit irritating, a little bit frustrating, and it actually takes away a lot of pleasure from playing the game. There isn't really a whole lot of sound in the game, to be honest. There is the music track that plays sometimes, and you've got some punching and kick sounds when you attack people. There aren't no sounds when your characters are moving. When a car drives onto the screen, there is no other sound, so it's really lacking in that. I mean, obviously it would have been added to if the game was commercially released. Now apparently there is a fully complete version of this game somewhere. It's just not available. Apparently it was fully completed, but it just didn't get released, and this is a beta version that was leaked, whereas the game wasn't completely finished. So basically it is a little bit harder to review it, but sounds wise, yeah, there's not a whole lot here. So how does the game look? Well, for a beta release that I would probably say is about 60% complete, this is actually a pretty decent looking Saturn game. I think the environments look pretty good, the 3D engine is solid, the game runs well, I think the characters look reasonably good. There's not much variety in terms of the enemies, and I don't have the PlayStation version to draw comparisons to, but regardless of that, I think it's actually pretty decent looking, and it's definitely would certainly be higher up the Saturn's pecking order in terms of like three-dimensional games, because there wasn't really a whole lot of games sort of like this on the system, and I actually think it looks pretty good and it runs pretty good. I can't really fault the graphics. They're not even that glitchy, to be fair. Yes, your character might run through a door. The car, when you see it near the start of the game, it just drives through a gate completely. But they're things that hadn't been finished at this point. But other than that, the game in itself is actually reasonably good looking. So in terms of how it plays actually reasonably well, especially considering it's only a beta. A is kick, B is punch, C is jump, X is your special attack, Y is your backwards attack, and Z is kind of like a sliding attack forward. R and L don't do anything, but it actually plays pretty well. You can sling together some little combos with your kicks and punches. If you get close enough, you automatically grab them, and then similar to Streets of Rage, you can press one button, it'll do a throw, and one button it'll do like a headbutt or a knee lift. It's pretty simplistic. I don't think the controls are finalized, because if you press the jump button, you can't actually do a jumping attack, which is a little bit strange. Obviously, it makes jump completely redundant in the beta version, but it's not the tightest of controls. I definitely think they could have been tightened up, but it doesn't actually play terribly, if I'm perfectly honest. Now, there are a few issues with this as a beta, and they tend to be in the form of the fact that the game can just freeze or glitch out for no apparent reason. I've had it happen several times on the elevator level. You're fighting and all of a sudden the game freezes like this and you can't do anything and you have to reset the game. So you try again as the other character and guess what? You freeze on that elevator again. But with a little bit of perseverance, you can get past there and you can see a few more areas. You'll go past the area with the mechs into this room where you face off against a chap in here, and you can even go one step further onto the next level, where you can pick up a gun and attempt to use it on people, but I found that very difficult, and when I did actually shoot people it didn't do anything. This level also seemed to spike up a bit in difficulty, I found anyway, and when you actually end up being defeated on this level, the game froze again, which meant you have to reset it. Now, I played through the game quite a few times and I couldn't get past this level, whether that's just bad luck, whether you can, whether it's just the fact it's a beta and it's not quite running properly. I don't entirely know how much content is in the game, but after playing it you kind of get the gist of what could have been. Obviously, this is crippled by the fact there is no two-player in this beta. Obviously, the real release did have two-player for the PlayStation and N64, and that was a big part of this game. Without that, it's just not as enjoyable, plain and simple. Now, curiosity-wise, yes, it's worth taking a look, obviously, and this game would have probably been pretty decent if it actually got a complete release, but it didn't. It's another case of what could have been, what should have been, and what wasn't. That is it for today, you know. This was Fighting Force and what it could have been like for the Saturn. I mean, I genuinely don't think the full version is available anywhere for anybody to look at. If anybody knows of it, though, let me know with a comment down below. What are your opinions on what could have been with Fighting Force on the Saturn? Did you play it on the PlayStation? What were your opinions of it there? I actually quite liked it when I played it probably 23, 24 years ago when I was a young teenager. I actually enjoyed picking up a gun, shooting people, getting a baseball bat and whacking them with it. Probably one of the reasons why I love Streets of Rage as well. Anyway, that will do it for today. That is it. Thank you for watching, and as always, I shall see you soon for another Saturn review. Goodbye for now.